All right. Apologies for the late start, everybody. Welcome back to the Wednesday night live stream. How's everybody doing this week? Good to see everybody here in the chat already. I say already. I'm rolling in 10 minutes late here, but appreciate y'all. Raphael, Red, Emmanuel. Good to see you guys. Nadav, good to see you. Hey Matt, it's been a minute. How you been? I've been well. This has been a busy month, but it's been a good one. I'm coming up on my end of the month deadlines, and so this is like last little bit of work to finish up for the month, and then Elliot's birthday is on the 1st, so doing well though. Brendan Allen, hi Matt, tuning in from a stinking hot day in old Australia while making a few prints and knocking off some editing. Trust all is well in your world, and good day to everyone else tuned in. Appreciate you, Brendan. It was a cold day here. At least it was when I was picking up the boys from school. I regretted not bringing a proper coat. So one of those days here in Ohio. David Mascaro in the chat. We are opening up some mail that David sent in because David is sharing one of his own books from his collection with all of us. Don't want to show your address on camera there, David. Appreciate you. Here we go. So this is photographs by Jessica Lang. So this is one I've never seen before. It came up in conversation one night on stream, and David here offered to share his own copy with us. So I appreciate that, David. Everybody show David some love in the chat, and we'll take a look at this together. Now, let me see. Oh, we got a note here. Thank you, David. Hi, Matt. Thanks for accepting this book. Look forward to your thoughts. Try and read the introduction if you have time. Really interesting. When I get the Highway 61 book, I'll send that out also. Amazing. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. We will read the introduction. Yes. Jim asks, actress Jessica Lang? I believe so, unless someone correct me if I'm wrong. But that was my impression. Yes, the actress. Okay. Okay, so derive is how I would pronounce that in English, but with the accent there over it, I'm not sure. Derive, maybe, is that how they pronounce it? Unplanned journey. One drops all their usual motives for movement and action and let themselves be drawn by the attractions of the terrain, usually urban, and the encounters they find there. Guide to Board, 1956. Let me see how that's coming across. Okay, yeah. Let me bring this up just a little bit. Bring it in a little closer for you. There we go. Don't cover it up with the microphone. Okay. Introduction. One thing we all share is a kind of willed forgetfulness, especially when it comes to pain. By pain, I don't mean just the physical manifestation of an infirmity. I'm talking about the pain that sometimes shapes but always informs loneliness, that pit in the stomach feeling from which nothing blossoms, but more loneliness and the nagging why of existence. Why this loneliness? Why this loneliness now? There are certain cities where these questions, the blossoms of loneliness, do not smell so rank, do not threaten the heart as persistently as other cities, other cultures can and will. Take Manhattan, for instance, the ultimate city to be alone and alone together in. In Manhattan, the streets are yours, but they're borrowed since they belong to you over there and you over there, too. There's nothing to be done about it. The near collision course that is Lower Fifth Avenue when the world is up and running, say, on a Saturday afternoon, or the circuitous dark Gothic universe that is Riverside Drive in the fall, the leaves falling, and nearby the Hudson River, and the sky above that does nothing to join Manhattan to New Jersey. All of this is yours and not yours, and just when you think that your loneliness can be forgotten, dealt with, managed, look at me. Look at me with all these people. Something happens, reality intrudes, and your isolation flowers again, threatening to take you over even though it already has. The thing that happens forces you to deal with it, with your aloneness, and say, well, here it is again, my mortal enemy, my lonely self, here it is again, taking root, flowering. I remember how loneliness messed with us in New York in 2003. It was summertime, and suddenly there was a blackout, and the world was filled with ghosts, including oneself, voices in distress outside one's window, but who was there? You couldn't see another soul. Fantasies ran rampant. In the darkness there was potential theft, or even worse, death. If you lived alone, there was no one to hold your hand and do the work of an adult, a lover, a friend, which is to tell you that you are not alone and that everything would be all right. The lights going out, in the darkness you felt the dark and the ineffable in your soul, a memory of other lonely nights when life couldn't help you. And you spilled out into darkness too. That darkness, one's spiritual loneliness, is everywhere in these photographs by Jessica Lange. During the height of the pandemic from November 2020 to May 2021, Lange would leave her home, Leica in hand, to find her city during its devastation and its loneliness. The world she saw, the world in her pictures, is recognizable, then not. A New York that was and was not. This science fiction universe with refuse blowing out, humans blowing about, was marked by an unearthly silence. No one seemed to speak. Certainty was not to one another, not through this new world of masks and fear of the air. One could not speak. It was as though we had never heard a siren before. Ambulances passed, and one's nerves jumped. Was that ambulance carrying more of the dead, or about to be dead? Would we be dead like the dead today or dead tomorrow? Lange's pictures, a graphic black and white world shot at a variety of distinctive angles, sometimes close and sometimes far away, but always with an intense interest in the limitations and possibilities of the frame and the world that gets cropped out as much as the fragment of reality that makes the picture itself. Our apertures opening and closing on this dreadful scene, or should I say feeling. Part of the strength of her pictures is their evocation of an atmosphere, an unrecognizable world filled with signs that had existed with so many people who were lonely together. I wish I could write a poem about what I see in the photographs, because they are a poem, stanzas of being in a landscape rendered raw and desolate by the unforeseen. We have all watched with a kind of slow, unfolding horror how the disease ravaged, as the city's papers said, or decimated, as the city's papers said, an island known for its beauty and indifference to its citizens, rich and poor alike. Lange doesn't focus here so much on class explicitly, but it's everywhere in these photographs. Street people, people who cannot afford to flee the island, are at the center of her frame, making do with devastation and insisting on life even as the world says otherwise. These characters in this science fiction world are signs of hope and defiance, just as the graffiti and business signs Lange photographs with intelligence and visual acuity are vibrant with extra meaning, because where was there to go during the height of the pandemic? What was there to advertise? What did we see in our great sadness when we were afraid to look up for the fear of the sky falling? Commerce takes on a different meaning in Lange's pictures. We can no longer consume with impunity here. A sign says a venue is open, but for what? To be lonely together? Lange's photographs of a tender, modest wedding of a fish shop, challenging then Governor Cuomo's edicts about small businesses, are pictures about what humanity looks like under siege. One thinks of Marx's remark that all that is solid melts into air, all that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face, with sober senses, his real condition of life and his relations with his kind. His kind. That's what Lange's pictures remind me of. The beauty and necessity of being together no matter what or because of it. Oh, dang. David says, sorry, Matt, I didn't mean for you to read live. It's long. Well, hey, we're in it together. I hope you all enjoyed my monologue. That does give good context, though, so I don't mind. So focused. I was on the edge of my seat, Red. All right. Let's dig into this. I'm glad I hadn't looked up any of her work before we dug into this, so I could get like my true first impressions. And it's interesting that she has, the full bleed here. We've got the filed ish negative carrier here around all the frames. Like that one here. Really like all the high contrast. I wondered if people knew who she was. Yeah, I always wonder about that with any sort of celebrity photographers, like potentially kind of being able to cover your face a little bit with the camera, but I don't know. The filed carrier frames really add to the grungy feel of the photos. Yeah, it works super well with that high contrast look. Josh, good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Happy to tune in live for once. I'm happy you're here. And I am doing well. I appreciate you. We need to get together here in the barn soon, all of us, and look through some photos, see what everyone's working on. That's a good one. I like that. I don't know how I feel about the photos of some of the people on the street. I don't know. That's one of my own things where it's always like finding that balance of I don't know, documenting, but also, I mean, I'm sure I would hope she would give back and do a little bit of community support outside of just with the camera, but I like this one here. These people here on this bench, like being completely covered by the back of the head with the hair there. They're kind of like lost in this sea of all the flowers. I like that. James Dean was a photographer, a Rolly user. I think I remember seeing one of those posts of like, here's a collection of celebrity selfies of, different celebrities over the years with a Rolleiflex in the mirror and things like that. Ian says the line between voyeurism and exploitation and documentation can get blurry when your brain just thinks that'd be a great shot. Yeah, well said. That's one of those things that I remember walking with some friends who were kind of getting into photography a little bit more, and naturally, because it's exciting, they were like really interested in doing street photography. And some of the things that they would like talk about and get excited about sharing, like, oh, this great shot I saw. And often in time it was just like some poor people, it's like some people who are clearly not very well off at the present moment. And it's like, I get what you're thinking is like you're thinking that's going to be something that's going to grab people's attention, but is it really worth it? Is it worth that exchange and that sort of transaction of photographer and subject, especially if you're not going to interact, you're not going to sort of show the humanity. One thing to take the image of vulnerable people, but I think it changes when you intentionally curate those images. Yeah, I get what you mean, for sure. I think that's kind of, I don't know. It's conflicting because everything about the idea of you're documenting real life as it happens, and there's truth to that, and there's importance in that. But like anything, there is no sort of rule of thumb. Like you kind of need to approach each situation a little differently, and take into account nuance and context and all of those kind of things. So I don't like making just like generalizations as if to say, this can be photographed and this can't. So just to make that clear, just for the sake of conversation. These live streams rule. Thank you, James. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're enjoying them. Ian, exactly. You got to ask, why is it important that people see this and weigh that against the situation? 1000%. That's it. It's like the impact of the photo and like what you're hoping to do with it or gain from it is that, juice worth the squeeze. This is a little shorter one, so I'm going to read this one for you guys. Afterward, in March of 2020, when New York City went into lockdown due to COVID, like many others who could, I left the city. I didn't return until October, 7 months later. Everything had changed. It was a different city. It felt abandoned. Blocks of storefronts were boarded up. All non-essential businesses had closed by executive order. The usual crowds of people moving down the streets had disappeared. I had read somewhere that a city's meaning is to make loneliness bearable. There was no masquerading the loneliness now. I mentioned to my son that I had no idea what I was going to do during the long winter months ahead. He asked me if I was familiar with the French philosopher Guy Debord and his theory of dérive. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He suggested that I make it my practice over the following months, and that's how it was started. Almost every day I would leave my apartment and start walking, letting myself be drawn by the attractions of the terrain and the encounters found there. I started carrying my camera with me so I could have a visual diary of my wanderings. I walked places in the city I'd never seen before, and I was moving slowly for a change. I was taking the time to really look, often stopping to speak with people living out there on the street. For the following 6 months, I practiced dérive. These photographs are a record of that time. Let's see this one here. Like the eye contact, it feels intentional, and as she mentioned, stopping to talk with people. Hopefully that would be the case in situations like this. But with all that snow drift going across the frame, that's a really powerful one. Right on. Well, David, thank you for sending this in. I appreciate you sharing this with all of us. If anyone wants to check this out, there's that. And your ISBN number right there on screen. If anyone wants to look this one up as well, for anyone who might be watching in the future on the replay, there you have it. So thank you, David. I will get this packed up for you and ship it back to you tomorrow. And I appreciate you. Thank you. Yul Brynner was a really good photographer. He got some really great pics of fellow actors. I'm not familiar with that one. Photography changed the course of Vietnam. I argue with myself sometimes the difference between street documentary and war. Yeah, some of the war photography of that time frame is just still iconic. Fun fact, ISBN stands for I Shoot Black and White now. Hell yeah. Let me know if you guys have any other books you'd like to look at tonight. This was the only one that was in the mailbox this week. On the topic of actors and celebrities who are amazing photographers, there's an amazing book of Dennis Hopper's photography too. I remember seeing someone mention that one. I think someone brought that up on a live stream once before. That's another one I haven't seen. I did have Jeff Bridges, one of the Jeff Bridges Y Deluxe books, but I sold it earlier this year. I'm trying to think if there are any other kind of in that category. I mean, I guess technically Jason Lee, but I feel like that's different. I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're like two completely separate careers on top of also skating as well. Let's see. Are there any other ones like that I have? None that I can think of. Yeah, I think the only other one I actually had was that Jeff Bridges one. Nate, photography is just awesome. I agree. AOK Camera, what's up, Matt? Hope you had a great day. One of my favorites is Arcadia by Ian Howarth. I do not have that one, but I remember looking at it. I think it was already sold out, but that one looked good. Also, Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney's first wife, was an amazing Polaroid photographer. That book would be fun to check out sometime. That's another one that I have heard of and know of, but have never actually looked at it or looked it up for that matter. I don't know if that's a rare one or not, but that'd be a fun one. Matt, would you ever consider doing photo critiques on a stream? Yes. That's a good question, Ian. We talked about it recently. I think it was last week on stream. We talked about doing something like that. So yeah, I would be open to doing that. Also, I believe it was a different David as well that emailed me about getting the Discord set up, and so that is now like officially in the works. So major shout out to David for that. We're gonna get that set up. That way, everyone here that's like usually here on the weekly live streams, or if they watch the replays, anyone that watches my channel, I guess, just kind of making a place where everyone can get together and talk about photo books, share different things, where it's not just me talking to everybody. So, hey, there he is, David. Hey, hi, hello, it's me, the other David. Thank you, David. Appreciate the help on that. We're gonna get that set up, and yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a good way to also just kind of keep up to date with everybody throughout the week, between streams. You know, like right now the weekly live streams are my main consistent thing every single week, and so sometimes I don't post a single thing anywhere, like at all, between, you know, each Wednesday night. So yeah, it would be good to have a way for all of us to just kind of keep the conversation going a little bit, you know, week to week. So you pick up that new Ian Bates book or the new Odette England book? Josh, I did pick up Ian Bates' Weight of Ash. We looked at that one a few weeks ago when that arrived on stream, and so good. Only photo books I own are The Suffering of Light and Girl Pictures. I used to own The Suffering of Light. I'm pretty sure I sold that this summer, but I don't have Girl Pictures. That's one that I've wanted for a while. Need to try see if I can find books by famous people. Yul Brynner is a 50s, 60s era actor. His Leicas were auctioned off recently in the Leica auction in the last couple of years. Right on. Oh, speaking of, Dard, if you're watching, I'll see you in the morning. My boss Dard Hunter, who I work for in the frame shop, um, we were going through. He mentioned a family member who had recently passed away, and have got some cameras that were left behind, and just kind of needing to take a look at things and see what all is there. Um, so maybe we'll make a video about that and just kind of go through everything and see what we find. That might be a fun video. Hey, Great Vanzini, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That would be a fun video. I haven't really encountered that many situations over the years where someone has, a bunch of old cameras from a family member that's passed away, or cameras that were passed down. Um, I hear stories like that all the time, and you see them online, but uh, yeah, I've never really come across that anywhere. Matt, how's the temperature in the barn these days? You staying warm? I'm staying warm for now. I'm gonna have some work cut out for me probably here in a few weeks, hopefully, to get a little bit more work done in here to even further keep me warm. But right now I'm doing all right. So um, what was I? Oh, I completely forgot. I had planned to make. There's like two or three different videos that I had started, and then life got busy and I just completely forgot about. One of them was the "we'll figure it out" kind of video, talking about self-publishing and sharing the Minneapolis trip in 2021, where we shipped out Friend of Mine. And Tyler and I worked on that one together. We put part one out, and then we're working on part two, and got like the first draft of the edit done, and then life got busy. Months have gone by. Has a year gone by? I don't know. Maybe a year has gone by. So I'm gonna finish that one up, part two. That will be coming out soon. Soonish. That's not the main priority right now. Another one, Matt Eich interview. That one is going to be coming out probably in the next 7 days, within that time frame. And Life on Film, another one. I forgot that I had already scanned like 3 or 4 rolls, and had that on my list of, once I scan those, then I can film that video. And then that one fell behind as well. So we'll get caught up here eventually. Can I plug another YouTuber's book? Absolutely. Please do. Ever shoot Fomapan 400? I want to try it, but I keep hearing it's super brittle and breaks easily. I've never heard that, but I've never shot Fomapan 400, so I can't really speak to it. I'm curious if anybody here has tried the new Kodacolor films, and what's everybody thinking? Because we've talked about that one a little bit on stream in the past when that was first announced. Curious what people are thinking. All right. I'm going to grab a book here. Jim Ursetti, your Bay Area also. I have thought they were good. Good to know. I've shot a roll of both 200 and 100. Feels a lot like they just slapped a new label on Color Plus. I think I remember seeing somebody sharing the... What were they sharing? Like the code that's on the actual film, and they were saying it's like the exact same code on Color Plus and a Kodacolor negative. I don't know how much that means that it's the direct thing, or if that's like related to something else. I have no idea, but Hey, thank you, David. I appreciate it. I'll be in touch soon. Thanks for hanging. Results are good, but seems like not a new film. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus from what I've heard, but I haven't tried it. Paul Reed here on YouTube from the UK. Monochrome Madness, quick read, and great picks. Shout out Paul Reed. I'll check him out. Thank you, Great Vanzini. We're going to take a look at a book here. Let's see. Do I want that one? Maybe. Yeah. No, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Hmm. Man, I don't know. Um, Maybe this one. Would love to see County Road or anything you've been into lately. Honestly, lately, like, I really haven't looked at any in my own time other than the ones that we look at here on stream. At least the last few weeks, I've just been not, either not at home from work and football season and appointments and working like photo jobs as well. Um, it's just been crazy. So I really haven't been sitting down with anything in my free time lately. And so that's why I'm kind of having one of those like, what do I want to look at? It's been a minute since I've sat down. I like taking requests from people on stream, so that usually dictates what I'm looking at these days in terms of the books. Would love to. Oh, I read that one. Any books you recommend with really colorful pictures? Yes, I do have an idea for that actually. And it's not this one because this is the black and white picture, or this is black and white book. This is Reading Raymond Carver by Mary Fry. I believe we've probably looked at this one already before. I know I've shared it in videos anyway. Um, really colorful pictures. I gotcha. Jim, I bought Tim Davis's book last week after you showed us on stream. Love to hear it. Any Matt Black? Unfortunately, no Matt Black on the shelf, at least right now. I think I know what I want for color. Mm, yeah. Speaking of photographers on YouTube, I've got one here. This is a long shot, but do you have any day in the life books? Not really. The For every minute you're angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. That book is a little bit of a sort of like daily life routine type stuff, but it's not really a day in the life necessarily. The Suffering of Light by Alex Webb is my favorite reference for color work. Such a beautiful book. I agree. That is a good one. We're going to be taking a look at 10 Miles West. Let me adjust this real quick. All right. Because it's coming across a little. Got to get the color right here. Okay. It's looking a little better. This is a very colorful Josh Edgoose. Framelines, if you're not already familiar, Framelines is a great channel. Two great guys, Josh and Shane, and 10 Miles West is Josh's book. And when you asked for anything really colorful, this is the first one that came to mind. I love Josh's color. Nice little print included there. This was published by Setanta Books. A decade of photographs taken in and around my home of southwest London. You see why this one came to mind when you request color. Hey Tim, good to see you. Shore stuff is always uniquely colorful. Yeah, that's another one. I think, yeah, Transparency's small camera works. That one I remember really liking the color from that book. And Uncommon Places, of course. Holy Saturation Batman are all these film. I believe a lot of this is digital, if not all of it, actually. Check out Framelines. I know Josh has done videos on how he edits his photos, post-processes his photos. But yeah, they're beautiful. Martin Parr, yeah. Let me see. What's the title of it? Where is it? My shelves are slightly disorganized right now. The Nonconformists by Martin Parr. I have that book that my brother's girlfriend got me a year ago, 2 years ago. Shout out Alex. If for any reason you ever see this, thank you. Hey, Tim, thanks for sending the zine in. Says, hey, Matt, thanks for sharing my zine the other week. I appreciate you sending it in. I feel like Josh's contrast slider lives between -80 and -100. You know, there is something about, actually, that's another video I'm going to be doing on editing files. I think probably a mix, just Nikon files in general, a mix of the Z8 and ZF files and just kind of going through how I've been editing them. But there is something nice for me when I start an edit to just grab the contrast slider and pull it way back and then really be like selective with how I introduce contrast back in individually with different tones. You know what I mean? That's always like the second I bring a digital photo into Lightroom, I immediately pull the contrast back and go, okay, that looks a little a little more palatable. Sometimes a straight out of camera digital file looks a little too crunchy, even if you're shooting in a neutral profile at times. Hell yeah. Brendan says, I bought one of the wonderful Tim's zines after seeing it here. Love to hear that. That's what it's all about. Yeah, very, very painterly for sure. I love this too. It's so good. Love it. Yeah. I'm always torn between low contrast pastel and high contrast Alex Webb stuff. Yeah, when you like a lot of different looks and even at times like just consume a lot of different photography. Sometimes that can make it even harder to make those decisions, you know? Uh, being a little selective in the photography you consume or just media in general that you consume, um, it's challenging to do that because, I mean, especially if you just love photography in general and want to consume it all the time and look at it. And there's so much to learn from just looking at other photography, especially if it's very different from your own. Um, but I've like experimented with different periods of trying to curate what I'm consuming in a way, and I think it does have its benefits to like really try to focus in and um, just kind of shut everything else out. Um, but I've got to be really like in it to find that place. You know what I mean? That that's challenging when you've got kids and just you have a regular busy day-to-day life. um, Sometimes it's hard to tap into that level of obsession. you know Anthony, what's up? Thanks for hopping on. He says just the colors. I thought it was the guy from Frame Lines. You are correct. That is the book. This is 10 Miles West by Mr. Josh Edgoose. Is there anything inherently wrong with eclecticism as a photographer? Do you mean sort of like letting yourself do all of the things versus being like laser focused and doing the one thing? Is that what you're asking, Steven? I want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly. Um, because I have thoughts on that if that's what you're asking. I've been addicted to high contrast black and white for 2 years now. Hell yeah. Yeah, consuming or even producing different styles. So I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I feel like it's tricky because do you want to do the sort of like, it's going to be different for every person. Do you want to do the same thing all of the time? Like, is that what pushes you forward in making your work? Is it that like laser focused just over and over repetition? If that's what is like propelling you forward and keeps you going, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And if engaging with a lot of different kinds of photography, different styles, different approaches, consuming different photography, if that also, on the completely other end, if that's the kind of thing that keeps you going, then keep doing that. Uh, I always try to like encourage people rather than following one way or the other. Like, what is going to keep you engaged with it and keep you moving forward? Because that's really important. That being said, um, I think you have to be honest and uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You have to be you just have to be honest with what your goals are with your photography. What are you trying to do with it in terms of, is there anything wrong with doing that? Because if your goals are to, as you mentioned, like other than building your brand in quotes, because that to me is a big part of it, where nowadays it's, you've got to have a brand and you've got to do, it's like all of the things outside of just the photography, and if you're trying to sell your work and market your work and get it in places, like, I think that laser focus and really defining your voice and style and everything, I think that's really important. Um, but also just in general for yourself, like, it can be really fun to keep yourself engaged with photography by exploring all the different things. Um, but after a while, that's, at least for me, maybe not for everybody. I think for a lot of people, though, after a while, that's going to start to wear off, and you're going to have to find something else that's going to keep you there. If you're really like, how do I do this for a really long time and continue to do it? You have to find the things that keep you there. I've never been one to, I don't know, have like a set of rules or strict guidelines for myself in how I, make photos and what I consume and like what directions I want to go in. I try to just let myself enjoy it however I want. But as I mentioned earlier, I think there's something to be said for, at least for a period of time, taking it, not yourself, but taking the craft as serious as you can. On the topic of kids, I recently became a dad. Congratulations. And it feels like I have almost no time to dedicate to photography. Does that ever get better, Matt? Or have I peaked and it's all downhill from here? You've peaked, brother. Chad, is he cooked? Is he cooked, chat? Josh Edgoose, 10 Miles West. It's a great one. Shout out Frame Lines. No, it's not all downhill from here. But you're also not wrong. It's never going to be the same again. And I tell you that with love and with honesty. It's never going to be the same again. The same amount of time and focus and importance, all of those things are going to change, and not just now, like, oh, now it's different and now it's this way. It's like that's going to constantly change and evolve over time. Uh, you have one kid, two kids is different than that. Have three kids, that's different than two. Like, each kid is so unique and different, and each stage of each kid is so different. And like, I was talking to Tyler about it today. He and I had a shoot in Zanesville, and so we were driving and talking about that. And no matter how ready you want to be, you're never going to be like fully ready, and it changes your perspective on a lot of things that just don't really have the same amount of importance or weight. And finding that balance to keep yourself engaged, like we've been talking about, that's the real sort of balance for me, I think, where at least during this season of life and this chapter of life, uh, I know that my time for photography and even just ability to think coherently about photography, for my own enjoyment and my own photography for myself, that kind of stuff I know is very limited in time, but I have learned with time that that's not constant. That's just for right now. There are seasons and ebbs and flows to everything. Um, I'm the type of person that I really, I think I used to value myself based on how much I could do. Like 24 hours in a day, how much can I get done every single day? How much can I just be advancing myself, my work, whatever it is I'm doing, just trying to like keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And when you aren't able to do that at the same level or just give it the same amount of time, you feel guilty over it in a way and feel like you're like not necessarily letting yourself down, but it is this feeling of like, how do I keep doing all of this? How do I keep doing what I've been doing for, a long time, at least for myself? How do I keep doing that while I have so much more important things to focus on, you know? Um, and it's challenging. I mean, the amount of parents who just inevitably give up time for their hobbies or interests or whatever because that's just life. Like that's not uh I feel like people have this like really negative connotation with like, oh yeah, they got kids and then they just had to stop doing whatever. And it's like that's kind of what you're doing though, is you're starting a whole new life. It's not just your life anymore. You're bringing new life in that you are responsible for, and uh, you can't expect to have it all, I think. So I don't know. I just feel like people get uh, there's like this weird kind of stigma around that where it's like, oh yeah, well then you have kids and you're not going to be able to do anything. And it's like it's not going to be the same. You know what I mean? Is that making sense? Um, yeah, it's challenging because you go from being obsessed with one thing and that steering your entire everything for so long, and then it's like I don't know. I there are entire weeks that will go by, like a full week where I might take photos, but I'm not really thinking about photography. I'm not thinking about cameras or lenses or anything like that. I'm just going about regular life, and photography is just kind of like a part of it. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, if that's helpful at all. Congratulations. And as I mentioned, it's never going to be the same again, but it's only for the better, even when things are chaotic. Remember that it's genuinely always going to be up and down. There are going to be seasons. It's not going to be chaos all the time. And it's not going to be sunshine all the time either. So take every day as it comes. Greg, Matt, I sometimes wonder with everything you got going on in your household, how you find time to do anything at all for yourself. Uh, well, I got to tell you, it ain't too much time that I do that. But again, seasons. Right now, my time to myself is usually in the evenings after the kids go to bed. That's time to play skate. Molly and I will watch. We just finished watching The White Lotus season 3, which is amazing. Um, yeah, that the evening time, but also like I don't know. Uh, I saw a thing the other day about this generation of bedroom kids that are now raising living room kids and how everyone's overstimulated. And I related to that so much because I was in my room. My room was my place. Uh, didn't have to like escape from anything. It wasn't that. It was just I like as a kid. Hey Arnold, seeing Hey Arnold or Arnold from Hey Arnold, seeing his bedroom as a kid, I was like, that's the dream. That's the coolest looking bedroom. I'm in my room all the time. I was constantly, as we've talked about, rearranging shit in my bedroom as a kid. Um, I like that kind of thing. And so, uh, how did we get on the topic of that? I'm blanking now. Routine, talking about time. How did we get on the subject of that? Because now I don't even remember. Camera frozen. Uh-oh. Oh, it's your end. Okay, cool. I was like, oh shit. Living room kids. Thank you. Yes, that's it. We are with our kids all the time, and it's just our house is chaos. Like, it's not the all right, everyone in their rooms and everyone's just doing their like. We're always usually it's like a dog pile on the couch of all of us, or in one of the bedrooms. Like, uh, so yeah, that's the other thing too. Like I'm just not out and about with my camera. Most of the time I'm at home with my family. And I continue to take photos. I have shared far less photos of my like daily family life stuff over the last couple of years. Um, just because one, I'm busier now as well. Like the whole family is busier, so I'm just sharing less in general. But also as the kids get older, that's just another thing I'm always conscious of, and you know how much I share of them, and um, half the time, Elliot doesn't have a shirt on, and that's another thing where I'm like, well, I'm not gonna take photos or share the photos, and so the day to day like family stuff I don't share nearly as much as I used to, um, but it was always for me in the first place anyway. So uh, I don't know, but it's fun. But most of the photos are just they're photos for me and Molly, and it's not really about the photo. It's purely just like personal documentation. Chaos for sure. Anytime my nephews visit, the house is never quiet. Then they leave. The silence really stands out. Yeah, like when Forrest first started preschool, and it was the first time we went to having no kids in the house during the school day at all, and seeing how quiet it got was insane. Hey, that's high praise, Corey. um, what was I about to say? Uh, shoot, I started reading that. It's a worthwhile discussion. Speaking as an old grandpa, I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that. Because that's the thing. Like I've been a dad for 10 and a half years now, which is crazy. And I still like when people ask for advice or anything, I'm like, just hang on, just buckle up, and love them the best you can. Got to experiment with a flash in my old rundown hunting cabin today. Definitely some of my fave looks so far. Hell yeah, Corey. Anytime you get to shoot with flash, or like getting started with flash, is just such a fun time. I always think about like 2008. Yeah, 2008. I don't think I had any in 2007. I think 2008 was when I got my first speed light and started learning about one, just flash in general, but off camera flash and uh, just all of that. it's just such a fun thing to, like, once you figure it out and understand it, it just unlocks so much more of that experimentation we were talking about. I just watched Alien for the first time as an adult, and holy shit, that film is gorgeous. You know, I genuinely don't know if I've ever actually watched Alien all the way through. There's a bunch of movies like that, and I feel like a lot of 80s movies that are really popular that I've never seen. Alien's one of them. Godox IT30 Pro, it's incredible. I think that's one of them. Okay. I see what you're saying. That's the flash you were using. That one does look really good, especially for a small compact camera. Is it the Godox V100? A1? I don't remember what it is. There's a Godox like speed light, like a one that swivels and everything and articulates, that I've been looking at. I can't remember. V1? Maybe that's what it is. V1 Pro? I don't know. I'll ask Frank. Frank's the one who told me. Yeah, there it is. Godox V1. That's the one I was looking at. Any thoughts on that heavily rumored Leica EV1? Is that what they're calling it? EV1? I have no idea. I don't know if... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that is legitimate. We've talked about it on stream a couple of weeks ago. I think it's an exciting thing for so many reasons, and at the same time, I just know the internet is going to be in an uproar. People are going to love it, and people are going to hate it, and yeah, I don't know. I think making videos about cameras and covering new cameras as they release as fun and just cool and a unique like opportunity, you know what I mean? That I never thought I would be in a position to do. It's also just made me go like, none of this matters. Like, it does to an extent and within context and like actually talking about it. But when people get in arguments over gear on YouTube and Threads, that app I've completely given up on, it's just, there's just so much stuff like that that just really doesn't matter. Were you ever a fan of the lo-fi disposable flash film look? It's a specific feeling that's grown on me. Only authentically as a 90s kid going on field trips. I always had disposable cameras with me. And yeah, I've always liked that look because it just reminds me of my childhood, specifically like school field trips. But I've never really like gone out, and I have for the sake of making a YouTube video when Ilford released their HP5 disposables. But I don't know. Ricoh coming for Leica's monochrome bag. I did see that Ricoh is going to be making a monochrome camera. That is appealing. Small, pocketable monochrome camera. That would be nice. Actually, another YouTube channel I watched went to Italy for some sort of Leica event. That is the event that I was invited to, but I still don't have my passport. So I got the invitation thinking it was in New York, and I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And then I was like, Italy. I will not be there. But I don't know what it was for. I have no idea. It was a Leica event, but they didn't say what it was for. So I have not seen. I mean, I wouldn't, even if I had seen it, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it because I would have to sign an NDA for that. But I have not signed an NDA on anything. I don't know any information about the camera. But if I do, you'll find out about it. Hi Matt, love your live stream. What do you think about contacts lenses? Are they worth the higher price? I want the dad in me really wanted to make a joke about contact lenses versus glasses, but contacts lenses are fantastic. Are they worth the higher price? I got to know how much you really care about lens characteristics and sharpness and all of those things to know how much it really is worth the price difference, because I've had times in my life where I would be happy to pay the extra money for the build quality of a lens or the construction, like how the lens feels, the ergonomics, the look of the lens. Like, there have been times in my life where I've placed a priority on that kind of stuff. And my feelings on a lot of that has changed over time, just like gradually. Whereas now, like, I still like to have a choice in what I'm using. But yeah, I mean, my M6, the amount of different lenses that I've owned for my M6, from Zeiss, Leica, Voigtlander. What are some of the other M-mount lenses? I mean, I guess those are really the main three that I've owned over the years. I started with a Voigtlander 35 f2.5 color scope R lens, like $409 brand new. And over the last 12 plus years that I've been using that camera and all the different lenses I've used, right now the only lens I have is that lens again. And yes, you can tell a difference looking at the photo. Like, you could see side-by-side comparisons of the same shot with the Voigtlander lens that I have and the version 4 35 Summicron, like legendary lens, one of my favorite lenses of all time. I could look at the two photos side by side and easily tell the difference based on the lens characteristics. Do I care that much to pay that much more? Like, probably 7 times the amount in price from one to the other. Like, is it worth that much to me now at this point with 3 mouths to feed? No, it's not. But you know, it's just one of those things. Like, it's going to be different from person to person. All that to say, long story short, contacts lenses, they make fantastic lenses. Have you tried adapting to your Z8? I have, but not for very long. I remember trying it out for like a day, and it's one of those things where I usually feel like when I'm using a digital camera, like, if I'm using a digital camera, give me the digital experience. Let me take advantage of autofocus. Let me, like, I want to rip when I'm using a digital camera. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily looking to slow myself down. That being said, we're going to be taking a look at a Thypoc lens that's Z-mount, the 50mm 1.4 Samara. I just got confirmation that they're going to send one of those over for a video. So we're going to be taking a look at that soon on both the ZF and the Z8. And that looks like a nice lens. You do have 2 kidneys, just saying. It's true. What's the price on plasma these days? I don't even know how that works. I want to see some commenters' photos. I'd love to see what people are working on. So, Nate, that's one of the things that we've been talking about doing with the Discord, is just having a place for everyone to, like, all hang out together and not just through me and me be the only one talking. Because that's the thing. I know, like someone mentioned earlier, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Brendan that bought Tim's zine. If I pulled that from memory, that it's not bad. I'm not losing it all just yet. But that's the kind of thing, like other people here in the chat, seeing other people making zines that they send in and they order their own copy. Yeah, it's just sick. That's the kind of stuff that I love. So, yeah, getting something going where people can kind of share their work and maybe even doing, I don't know. We'll talk about it. I've got ideas. I tried that Voigtlander Z to M close focus adapter on my ZF and really dig it with my 35 Summicron. That the close focus adapter would be something that I would enjoy, because that's always the drawback with the M mount lenses is the focus distance. I needed a live from Ohio to find a bloke zine who lives down the coast from me in Oz. See, that's it. I love it. Yeah, small world. But that's going to do it for tonight's live stream, guys. If you have any last minute, anything you want to shout out, any questions, let me know in the chat. But I think I'm going to wrap this one up and probably try. I might play a little bit of Skate. I'll probably play Skate for just a little bit. Then I'm going to need to get in bed, get to work in the morning. Appreciate you, Sam. Thanks for hanging. Tim, I need better SEO on my website. Tim, have you heard about Squarespace? Can I help you with that, Tim? Have you heard of Squarespace? Hell yeah. Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Thank you for hanging tonight. Be good to one another. Be good to people out there. And I'll see you next week.